Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. I really appreciate you taking out time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe are all greatly appreciated, so thank you in advance. Today's episode is going to be really good. And I'm going to talk about some things that are very personal today, and I hope you enjoy, this story that I'm going to regale you with. But I need to tell you the game that we're going to play. So this is going to some PC action. We're going to be talking about a digital board game called Armello. Now, the game has been out for a while at this stage. It's on multi-platforms. It's actually cross-play now, which is really cool. But I'm going to talk to you about when we were playing this, which is a few years ago when it was first released. Now, this game, the basis of it is you play one of multiple races. They're all animal-based, right? So you have like the bear race, the rat race, the rabbits, and the wolves. And they all have their strengths and weaknesses. Some people are better at combat. Some people are better at using magic. Some people are better at, managing finances and gold and acquiring and, cunning. And some of them are better using like equipment. It's just depending on your play style, you get to find each one. I end up playing with the spirit bear because they use spirit in order to fight the darkspawn. And that's going to be very important, when you start to get into the game because you have multiple ways to win. So the story of the game is that the king has been infected with rot, and rot is like the basis of like evil stuff in this world. And in order to either help the king or assume the throne, you have a couple different ways to do that. Now you can collect the 4 stones and you can go cleanse the king, and you win, the king is saved. The thing is, you only have so many turns to do this. So during the day, as once everybody completes their turn, which the game is like 20 turns, the king will lose a health bar. And then at night, after a set of turns, the king will gain rot. So he's getting more rotten and losing more health. It's like he's got like the sickness. Now, in order to win, like I said, a couple ways to do it. You can cleanse the king, you can kill the king, or you can wait for the king to die. And the person who has the most prestige points will become the new king through basically popularity. Now, prestige points, you can get them a few different ways. Everybody gets quests, and every time you complete a quest, you get prestige points. You can also get prestige points by killing other players, so you can engage them in combat. You can also get prestige points through items and things like that. There are a few different ways. And also, prestige is important because if you have prestige, you can also decide every 2 turns on what the new decree is. The king will ask basically for your counsel, so you can control the game that way. So there's multiple ways to kind of play this, and this is a game that me and the other members of Engage Gaming, we were playing this as we were working on starting this business. So this was like this has really good memories tied to it. But the story I want to tell you is how I did something really bad, something that I can't say I'm proud of, but I stand by my decision. Now you got to understand how our dynamic works in this group. So this is myself, Zach, Jonathan, and Steven. And the thing is, me and Steven have like an unspoken rivalry that will manifest itself at the worst times, right? And this is one of those times. So as you watch the gameplay of the game, I'm going to tell you about this story. Now, Steven would pick more combat-based characters, and, pretty much all of us had won a game basically at this point, whether through prestige or cleansing or something, right? But this particular game, it was very tightly contested. Now, Jonathan was playing a character who you could not get into combat. He's playing this little rat, and the rat would escape combat. So you couldn't, that's one of the ways you can prevent people from doing things is like if they get close to their goal, you can kill them. And we're all so close. Like I got some rune stones. I think Zach has some, or maybe he was the prestige leader. And it's basically coming down to the wire. Now, Steven is taking the rot way to win. And it's a very tough thing to do because you have to get more rot than the king. You also have to be able to maintain it. And there are situations where you can just lose rot randomly. And so it's a very tough way to win, but it's also a very doable way to win if you can kind of get a nice little roll going. And he was, right? And if you have more rot than somebody who is rot based like a darkspawn, you get all of their dice during combat, as you're going to see. And that allows you to, have more dice, because combat is basically one is luck, right? But the more dice you have, the more chances you can kind of assure victory, whether it's defensively or attack wise. And Steven he's getting close, and he can see the victory. He can see the finish line, and he's right there. And I have a spell that, like, I'm looking at all my cards trying to figure out, like, man, he's really finna get this rot win. And I figure out I have one card that can do something to stop it. And he's going up against the king, and he has one more rot than the king. And I play a card that says -1 rot, right as he initiates combat. Doing so allowed the king to have the same number of rot, which means he wins and he gets all of the rots as dice. And so he goes into combat like, wait, what just happened? And the king gets like 20 die and just gives it to him. And that was the last turn. And so Steven dies, Jonathan gets the victory, and we're in the same house at this time, and he just runs into the hallway and just looks at me like he's staying in my room, just standing at me. And I know what I did was wrong, and I felt kind of shame, but I also would do it again if given the opportunity. I couldn't let him win. I don't know, something took over. It's like I was watching myself do it, but I agreed with it. And so for the next several months, we would just say -1 rot. And it was one of those things that will live in infamy among the group, but it's also a great memory about us playing together and making these memories, which is why I love gaming. So I wanted to tell you about this story. I know it was a little longer, but I had to give you some context. So Armello is a fantastic game, by the way, if you haven't realized that yet. If you have played this game, let me know some stories about some photo finishes, some things that you sabotage, or some ways that you kind of, finessed away at a victory here. If not, if you're looking for a game for you and your friends to play, and you want something where, it's a 4-player game, so it's best if you have 4 people, but you can put a CPU in there, you can do some random people if you'd like. But this is a game where if you and your friends jump in, you will guarantee to have a great time. As always, I really appreciate you letting me reminisce with you. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. -1 rot.